You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Once again, I believe that Carmelo Anthony's 2002-2003 one and done season in college basketball is the greatest one and done season in the history of the sport. That being said, there's one other player I think has a strong case as well. That's Anthony Davis. And what's really funny is when we pull up the list from College Basketball Report, Anthony Davis is 5th. Carmelo Anthony is 6th. Those guys are 1 and 2. I don't even think it's particularly close. It's Anthony Davis or it's Carmelo Anthony. I'm going to tell you why Anthony Davis has a case, okay? And then we can kind of compare him to Carmelo Anthony, okay? First of all, each kind of have a reason for being lower on the list than they should be. I think when you look at Carmelo Anthony, his biggest quote-unquote flaw is that he was not a first-team All-American that season. He just wasn't. There were other players on the list. They were the best player in the nation. They won the Wooden Award. Carmelo Anthony? No, he was second-team All-American. That's pretty good. Tournament most outstanding player. But he was not a first-team All-American, and that's probably why he's ranked 6th on this list. Anthony Davis, he averaged only 14 points per game. I know it sounds silly, but I'm trying to understand why College Basketball Report had them 5-6, and I think those are the reasons why. Melo not being a first-team All-American, Anthony Davis only averaging 14 points per game. That being said about Anthony Davis, the reason why he has such a strong case to be the best one-and-done season ever in 2011-12 with Kentucky, he's probably the best college basketball defender over the past 15 years. Who else? I mean, maybe Malcolm Brogdon over at Virginia. He was outstanding. Cooper Flagg, for what it's worth, outstanding defender at Duke in 2025. That's another reason why, had the team actually won the national title, he would have been sitting there with Melo and Anthony Davis. But Anthony Davis is arguably the best college basketball defender in the past 15 years. He averaged, you ready for this? 4.7 blocks per game. For context, Syracuse basketball as a team in 2024-25, so this past season, they averaged 2.5 blocks per game as a team. For more context here, there were only 24 teams in college basketball this past season that averaged more blocks per game than Anthony Davis in his one season at Kentucky. Again, Anthony Davis is one human being. He's only one guy. And he averaged 4.7 blocks per game. Now that I think about it, I don't think he's probably the best college basketball defender over the past 15 years. He is the best college basketball defender over the past 15 years. And you could start listing off some of the great players in the history of college basketball. Could you imagine how many records he would hold if he spent more than one season at Kentucky as far as blocks? He's only one human. But 4.7 blocks per game is absolutely insane. More on Anthony Davis versus Carmelo Anthony. Anthony Davis also led Kentucky to a national title in 2011-2012. But Anthony Davis did have a better team around Carmelo Anthony. That's a common theme among all these one-and-done players, is that they had more NBA talent on the roster compared to Melo. I mean, he had 7 future NBA players. In fact, it goes beyond that with Anthony Davis. He played with the 2nd overall pick in the 2012 NBA draft. Anthony Davis was 1st overall, right? 2nd overall was Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. Now, again, we're not talking about NBA accomplishments or how they did in the NBA. We're talking about how they did in college basketball. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist was the 2nd overall pick. with all due respect to Hakeem Warwick and Jerry McNamara and all the guys on the Syracuse 2003 team, imagine if Carmelo Anthony got to play with the second overall pick on the team in 2003, which in 2003 was Darko Milicic. But imagine you got to play with Chris Bosh, who was at Georgia Tech that year, or Dwayne Wade, who was at Marquette. Those guys went 4 and 5 respectively. That was essentially Anthony Davis in 2012. He played with the second overall pick in the draft. So overall, when I factor that in, I put Carmelo Anthony slightly ahead of Anthony Davis. But I think it's very clear. So College Basketball Report, you got to redo your rankings. The best one and done season in college basketball history is Carmelo Anthony in 2003. The second best is Anthony Davis in 2012 at Kentucky. And then you go from there. And if you want to make an argument that Anthony Davis should be ahead of Carmelo Anthony, I'll certainly listen to it. I would have no problem if that was how it was. But being sixth, I mean, that's just, again, diabolical.